1, 2, 3, 4. Chop, chop, chop.
It's Cure of the What now.
Gather the ingredients.
Cure of the What now.
Not much time to prep before it's time to start the show.
Oh!
Guests are arriving.
Cure of the What now.
Everybody's smiling.
Cure of the What now.
A tasty party starting. Now it's time to go. Woo!
Ooh. Served hot and fresh.
Itadakimasu.
PreCure Theater! Imagine, listeners, a flat plain where the ground has partially been frozen and frosted, and at the very center of all of this carnage lies a solitary figure, and behind them, a blue-white humanoid ghost-type thing. The ice radiates outward from this character, who has to be given a suitably bizarre name, so perhaps we shall call them Ice Cold Sandwich. And opposite this man, this enemy, stands Amane, but she is ragged and beaten. Her clothes are torn. She still stands defiant, but it's clear that she's on her last leg. Behind her lies Kakone in a collapsed and unconscious state. She still breathes, but it is clear that she'll be no use in this battle. And then, the evil ice-cold sandwich speaks in a sinister tone. Mwahaha! I understand how your stand power works, Amane, and I know that you can only summon fruit from the ground using seeds, but now that I have frozen the ground, you can grow nothing. And now your friend has been defeated, and you shall be defeated too! Muda Muda, or whatever those symbols are that appear behind the bad guys. And then Amane, looking defiant, strains herself up. You misunderstand how my power works. Yes, I can cause any seeds to instantly grow. And yes, it is too cold thanks to your power, ice cold sandwich, which makes the seeds unable to grow. But Kakone's sacrifice was not in vain, for you see, with her last strength, she handed something to me. What? What could that be? It was a single green bean from which I can grow my army. Now you shall face the power of my stand. Get ready for fabulous fruits, orders, JoJo's! And that has been your PreCure Theater.
Hello, lovely listeners of Cure of the What Now. I had an intro planned, but what Joel has just done speaks for itself, so we are just going to roll straight in the show. I'm your host, Kat, and turns out I do actually have parents.
We just haven't seen them.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I wasn't just left to run a multi-billion-dollar company by myself as a 12-year-old. That would be ridiculous.
It would be absolutely ridiculous. Wars have been fought in those kinds of situations in the past, is all I'm saying. I'm Joel, your co-host, and I'm grumpy, but my extreme grumpiness actually makes bad guys fight harder.
Nice.
Yeah, they punch harder. They have
wait,
lasers,
that's not nice.
Energy beams.
We want the good guys to fight harder. Stop being grumpy. What do I have to do to you?
How many bright colors do I have to flash before your eyes before your mood will change?
Welcome to the episode, folks. I don't believe there's any news or announcements this week, so we will roll right into the discussion question, assuming my handsome co-host Joel has thought of one for today.
What about a PreCure season where there are twin sisters and one twin sister is the leader of the PreCure and the other twin sister got abducted by the bad guys and is one of the evil generals?
That sounds awesome. It also kind of reminds me of Heartcatch.
Oh yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? A little bit. And then it also, to me, reminds me of Doki Doki just a little bit. Not that Regina and Mana are twins, but kind of similar vibes.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Augury, and I was going to say, of course, Regina and Augury aren't twins because they're halves of the same person.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But no, I really like that idea. I think you could get a lot of interpersonal drama. Would you make this a smaller team then, so you could focus on the relationship between the sisters?
Yeah, maybe it would be like a trio kind of a thing, and maybe you don't even need a special secret PreCure, or maybe everyone would speculate that it would be the twin sister, but maybe she would not end up joining the team. That'd be kind of an interesting switcheroo, a switch to the formula. I think that you would want to have some episodes where the sister who got abducted or turned evil or whatever the case may be is good again, and you want some time for that to kind of grow, develop as an arc, as it were. But you wouldn't want her to become a good guy too early if that's like literally your premise, is that the bad sister is bad. So I'd probably save that for like, say there's 45 episodes, I save it till like episode 30 when they finally succeed in kidnapping her back from the bad guys.
Absolutely. I was going to say something similar. I think I was going to say 25 to 30 range. On the note of dark PreCure from Heartcatch, which season that we've seen since do you think could be improved by the addition of a dark PreCure on the villain team? I think Doki Doki would be really effective. Like if Regina had been their team's magical
like negative
girl.
Whatever. Okay, yeah. It'd be interesting if Regina was able to like match each of the PreCure powers. So like Makoto goes up and tries to use like swords, and then she draws her own sword and blocks him or whatever. But then when Alice or Rosetta tries to attack her from behind, she pulls out her own like evil shield or something. That'd be pretty cool. It definitely wouldn't work with Heartcatch and the comfy cozy vibes that they're going for. I couldn't see.
It wouldn't work with which one?
Healing Good. What did I say?
Heartcatch.
But Heartcatch is the one that did work with it.
Yeah,
because
that's
it
the
actually
one that we're
has
talking about
interesting
right now.
No, so yeah, Healing Good wouldn't work with the comfy cozy vibes.
I don't think Star Twinkle would have benefited. I think Star Twinkle was fine with the villains it had.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see an evil through the power of witchcraft in Maho, them having evil counterparts. That'd be kind of interesting.
I would have loved a whole evil team. Like maybe when you go to magical school, it's competitive and you're paired up with a partner, and like there had been these evil magical girls that were a competitive partner duo.
Okay, yeah, I like it. I also kind of, to go back to like the original prom, not to focus on other seasons that could have evil twins, I like the idea that maybe these twin sisters were very close, and then maybe the one who got turned actually harbored like a slight jealousy or frustration that was growing in her heart, and so the arc of getting her to turn back to the side of light would involve them accepting that maybe they don't have to be best friends and everything, or they don't always have to agree. It's just more important that they're family or whatever. Or whatever I say. These are off the top of my head prompts, so I haven't put as much thought into it.
Man, you're trying so hard. Joel actually just started a new job. Everybody in the comments say congrats, Joel. So it's hard to go back to being in an office and then come home and record. So he's doing a very good job. We're all very proud of him.
Yes, we are. I'm a very sleepy boy, so.
I would still love you if you were a worm.
Okay, absolutely. So, we usually do succinct summaries at some point in all of this.
Yeah, and usually it's you who does them.
I feel up to the task. So, what we watched this week was Delicious Party 34 and Doki Doki episodes 33 and 34. Next week is going to be a pretty abbreviated episode. There is no Delicious Party due to a sporting event over in Japan. I didn't see specifics, but yeah, just no Delicious Party next week. We don't even get a new Glitter Force because that's not till episode 39 of Doki Doki. But Catherine, would you be willing to do another double feature of Doki Doki?
Yeah.
Where we cover 4 episodes.
I'll come into 4 episodes of Doki Magic. Doki Time. Double Doki Delicious drama.
Anyway, so we will be covering episodes 35, 36, 37, and 38. But that'll be the only thing we cover next week. So that's kind of interesting how the schedule and the stars align.
So we only have like 10 episodes left in the season after next week.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Wild.
We're in the endgame now, Cap'n. Crunchitize me, Cap'n. Anyways, succinct summaries.
You know, he's called a captain, but he very clearly has the admiral.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that fan theory.
Yeah.
He's from a different land. Maybe they use different iconography. That's very similar to the United States, but just different enough that they're...
Look, I'm just saying he's very obviously being presented as a naval captain, so you could at least dress him correctly.
What if his name is Cap'n? What if he's Admiral Cap'n?
His name is Captain Crunch. That makes so much sense. Oh, you've blown this thing wide open. Joel, tell me about Delicious Party this week. Stubborn Grandpa Odin after baseball.
We meet someone that Yui calls Grandpa, and maybe he had a name. I did not write it down. And it turns out that he and Yone were special friends. And
They made Odin together.
They made Odin together. And what could be more wholesome than perfecting a recipe together? But this guy comes back into town. He has a grandson who is younger than Yui. I think Yui's 14 or 15, so I'd probably put this kid probably like 10 or so. And there seems to be a bit of friction between Grandpa and the grandson. Grandpa is a chef, and he created like the perfect udon recipe, and he used to live in Oishina town, but he moved away because his son was doing a restaurant, and he helped the son, but he's back this week to visit or whatever. And he's really interested in cooking Odin. The grandson doesn't seem interested in eating the Odin. The grandson is more interested in playing baseball, but Grandpa won't watch him play baseball. So it's a difference of generations. They're not seeing eye to eye. Maybe they worry that the other person doesn't love them, sort of a situation. But they are each talked into trying to, explain themselves, because communication is always the best first step. And by the end of the episode, they have made up, and Grandpa, who initially refused to teach Yui the secret Odin recipe, decided that it was okay to teach her the secret Odin recipe. Also, there is a brief scene of everyone playing baseball. It included Takumi, it included Komi in her human form, and it involved Amane's hot older brothers.
Komi become human.
Yes, absolutely. Mary was there too as well. I think he was like the umpire. But anyways, we had a little baseball scene, and that has been Delicious Party.
Excellent.
Doki Doki 33. Catherine and I have referenced the fact that Alice is Batman, so it would be fitting if her parents were dead. And in flashbacks, we've never seen her parents. So Kat and I came up with the brilliant summary, or the theory, that Alice's parents had actually passed away. Turns out, no, they're just always abroad and never see their daughter. So in this episode, the dad comes back. We have some flashbacks about the time that Alice's dad almost sent Alice out of the country because he thought that Mana and Rikka were bad influences. But then it turns out that Mana and Rikka were good influences, actually. And Sebastian Kung Fu fought 100 ninja butlers in order to protect his ward's safety, I guess, or happiness. And then in the present tense, present day, Marmo shows up, turns a helicopter evil. Alice saves her dad. Her dad kind of goes, this Cure Rosetta person looks kind of familiar. Alice has an awesome fight scene, and then at the very end of the episode, as Mr. Alice is leaving, he goes, "Hey Alice, tell that girl, good job, keep up the good work, but don't push yourself too hard." And she goes, "What girl, Dad?" And he goes, "Oh, Cure Rosetta, I have a feeling that you know her. Wink!" And then he leaves.
The only smart parent we've ever seen in PreCure.
Absolutely. And then in episode 34, something else happened. Oh, episode 34, at the beginning of the episode, they're fighting a Disdain, and they're about to win, but then Ai starts crying, and the crying makes Ira and Marmo stronger. But before they can finish off the Doki Doki team, Belle says, "I read the script, turns out we're not supposed to defeat them right now, so come back to base, give them an episode to try to figure it out." This is a Rikka episode, where Rikka discovers that motherhood is hard, but when you're a mother, you do anything for your child, and her bond with Ai allows Ai to stop crying, and at the end of the day, they're able to defeat the Disdain. And those have been your Succinct Summaries!
Those were excellent Succinct Summaries. Where would you like to start our discussion?
Let's do Delicious Party.
Okay. Did you like this episode?
I liked it all right. Yeah. How about you?
I thought it was extremely cute. It really hit me hard in the feelings. Them talking about their memories with Yone and Grandpa talking about all of the people who have left him behind. He knew Mari's sensei.
Yes, whose name was something like Garlic? No, he wasn't Garlic. I'll look it up.
Yeah, but it started with a G, so that Ginger. It was Ginger.
That's right. I wonder what color his hair is.
But yeah, he's like, Ginger and Yone both left me behind. I'm the only one left. And like, oh, my heart. And Yui had moments where she remembered cooking with her grandma and she watched the grandpa and it was kind of bittersweet. So overall, it was just a really emotionally powerful episode, I think.
Absolutely. We've talked about Mana from Doki Doki and how some people criticize her for never having learned anything. And I would say the episode that we talked about and gushed about last week was when Mana, cried and then she kind of got over it. I think it is valid to have a character who doesn't necessarily fall into the pits of despair, but it's also okay to have a character who seems really cheerful, but then underneath maybe they have some amount of pain that they either try not to think about or they're actively trying to hide. And so what I got from this episode was that Yui, she's this super cheerful girl, but like it still saddens her to remember her grandma. And she does, according to the Crunchyroll sub, she uses the word die. Grandma died. And so I think at one point you and I floated the idea that maybe she's like a force ghost that's hanging around and hanging out, or maybe she was related to Godats in some way, but it seems like she truly has passed on, which is quite sad.
Absolutely.
I thought that the baseball shenanigans were good. It turns out that Kokone is terrible at sports, which doesn't particularly surprise me.
The ball came toward her and she turned around and smacked it back with her tail.
No, you're thinking of Kome Kome. I'm saying Kokone is bad at sports.
They should not have named those two. Similar names.
Similar. So there's a pop fly, and Kokone could catch it, but she kind of gets a little like anxious, and she ends up not catching it because of that. And then someone tries to throw the ball, or maybe they hit the ball to Kome Kome, and they're like, Kome Kome, you have to catch it. And she just whacks it with her tail, like she has the raccoon tail from the Mario games.
She seemed so happy about it, though.
Yeah, she was very proud.
Also, that's not actually a raccoon. It's a raccoon dog in Mario Bros. It's a tanuki.
Oh, very interesting.
They are different animals.
Yes, and the Takumi has gigantic balls.
What? Joel.
What?
You can't say balls on a PreCure podcast.
Tanuki. What did I say? Did I say Takumi?
No, you said tanuki.
I did say Tanuki. I didn't say
I don't think so.
Or Tamuki or whatever.
You can't say balls on a PreCure podcast. Acknowledge what I just said.
I recognize what you are trying to say, but I'll just say whatever I want.
Oh, is that right? You're not going to recognize my authority now? He's getting the rebellious streak, folks. You let him get a job, and next thing you know, they're talking back.
They're feeling independent. Also, do you want to talk about Takumi and this young boy and their kind of rivalry, I guess?
Yeah, I can't remember this boy's name, so I'm going to call him Ryota. Ryota sees Yui, and he's like, wow, she's pretty. Like, he gets a little blush and wants to impress her. And then Takumi comes in, and Takumi and Yui have kind of a flirty moment. You can see this boy, like, looking between them, and he challenges Takumi to baseball, basically. And he's like, whichever of us can hit it further gets to go on a date
Whoever
with Yui.
can make it farther on the bases.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But whichever one wins gets to go on a date with Yui. And Takumi's like, a date with Yui? What?
And Takumi specifically says that he's not, like, interested in the date, or, like, he's not gonna, like, claim the prize, I guess you could say. But he doesn't want this snot-nosed brat to beat him. And in the end, they tie. There was a moment where the kid mentions whoever wins gets to take Yui on a date. Or he asks if they're dating, and Takumi is like, no, and Yui in the Crunchyroll version was just kind of like, yeah, we are, and I was just like, wait, what?
Was she? I thought she just, like, didn't react.
I thought she said something. This is why we should record shortly after watching these episodes, but yeah, so she basically is the Arrow Ace, representation that a lot of people would love. And so she just has no idea what dating is, and she has no interest in it seems like. So that was pretty good. We found out the name of Mari's master, which you mentioned, Ginger, and we'll talk about that again in love messages from the crew, from our fans. The other thing that I want to point out is that a couple of weeks ago, right around when the movie was coming out, they updated parts of the intro. So the part where it shows Secretoru and Spiritoru doing the Bundaru fist pump, whatever that is, there were these little drones that also look like Spiritoru. And I thought we were going to get an episode that introduced it, like Secretoru would be like, I've decided to mass produce Spiritoru to help with my tasks. But for the last two episodes, they've just been there and they've just been multiplying. So I guess now we just have a bunch of little tiny Spiritoru drones flying around.
Fair enough, I guess. They did a little Bundaru chant with her.
Yes.
Also, I didn't get the chance to say it, but Takumi drank his respect women juice.
Oh, yeah?
He objected to Yui being used as a prize in a baseball competition.
Absolutely. It is the sort of thing that it makes sense for a 10-year-old or a young character to, say, because they say outrageous things, as has been famously documented. But I liked that.
Well, and I've seen this be kind of a weird thing in other media where people are upset because these people are competing over a girl because you can't own a girl. But even if it just was changed slightly to whoever wins gets to ask her on a date, because then they're competing like to see who gets the chance to make their case first, essentially.
Sure, yeah.
So, can you imagine if this kid had asked Yui on a date? She probably would have been like, I just like to eat carrots.
Yeah. One of two things would happen. He would say, like, do you want to go out with me? And she would agree, and they'd go, like, shopping together, and he'd be disappointed, and she'd just be, like, clueless about it. Or she would understand the significance of it and be like, why? No. Not in a mean way, but just like, no.
No, of course not. But I mean, that's kind of all I had to say on that episode. Do you want to move on to the Doki Dokis?
Wait. Takumi didn't skip leg day. He was running after he hit the ball, and one or maybe the other one had the ball, and they were going to tag him, and he just leaps over them. He does like a flip, and he lands on the base. And honestly, I was hoping that Amane would start to be a little like, wait a second, that boy can do like jumps.
He can do flips and shit. I saw somebody else do a flip.
Yeah, so I would love if we got a Cinnamon, or no, his name's not Cinnamon, Black Pepper and Takumi connection made by one of the two smarter members of the team. But
absolutely. I just realized Black Pepper, BP, Delicious Party, DP.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
How did you like the episode with Alice's dad?
I object to Alice's dad being alive. But otherwise, it was a cute
You have
episode.
a firm dead dad policy?
No, it's not even that. It's just that even in the episode, he wasn't really a person. And, like, it was more about her relationship with Sebastian, even though he was there.
Yeah.
And so I would have just preferred it to be another Sebastian as Alice's parental figure episode.
Absolutely.
And you still could have had the dad in the flashback. You could have been like, yeah, when I was young, I was really sick and my dad wanted me to stay inside. But Sebastian was like, you should go outside and be with your friends.
Yep.
And that's why I have the strength to save people now. And she would like save Sebastian from the helicopter instead.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Alice being frail as a child because I don't believe that we've really gotten any hint to that in the present. But it turns out that the cure was going out and being allowed to kind of like fall and scrape her knee or whatever and kind of push herself, and then she sort of got over it a little bit. I really liked baby Rikka, Alice, and Mana. Kat and I are huge fans of One Piece, and there is a flashback arc in that series about the main character and two other characters as babies, basically, as like 10 to 12-year-olds. And so that I got strong vibes of that in this episode.
Absolutely. But I mean, other than that, did you like the fight scene?
Yes, the fight scene was really good. We had a couple of different things happen. So first off, Alice just soloed that helicopter. She was like dodging around missiles. But some of the cool things that she did is that she created a shield in midair and jumped off of it, which is very similar to how Cure Star would use her powers, 10 years later, however long. I guess that was closer to like 5 or 6 years later.
It was extremely sick.
Yes. And then Alice also took her shield and broke it in half and then used it like fans as like part of an attack. It was just, I mentioned offhandedly that I've seen a clip from Doki Doki before we watched it, and it was this scene. It was Alice dodging the missiles and beating up a helicopter monster.
It's funny too because Ivan Hobe on Twitter just retweeted, he quote retweeted something and was like, I forgot how good the animation is in Doki Doki sometimes. So I clicked on it and it was this scene.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, no, Doki Doki good.
I like the dad knowing about the PreCure, or at least knowing about a PreCure, and not necessarily freaking out. We've had a couple of other seasons where parents find out and they get really worried, and they have every right to be worried, but at the same time, if someone believes in their child enough to run a multinational $1 million company, then probably trust them to beat up the bad guys.
Yeah. If my child turned out to be a magical girl, I would simply take their henshin item so I could be the magical girl.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is why I would be the villain and not the magical girl. Sure. My henshin item now, B word. Note to self, I would not call my child a B word.
Okay. If you stole a henshin item from one of the neighborhood kids, though, like, they deserve it, you know.
The B in this case stands for butthead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, get out of your Todd, you butthead. Anyways, the other thing...
I saw you pick your nose last week. You don't deserve these powers.
We also got a new attack from both Alice and Rikka in these 2 episodes. Alice created a balloon, and there's always a different item inside of it when it pops, and I like the idea of a random item, and maybe even she doesn't know what's inside of it. I don't associate Alice with the element of randomness, so that doesn't quite make sense. Kind of like in Final Fantasy VII, or Final Fantasy X, there's a character named Rikka, or is it Riku? Oh crap, it was Riku. And all of her abilities were luck-based, right? So if everything Alice did was luck-based, this new attack would make sense. But because it's just random, it's weird.
It's kind of cool, but yeah, it doesn't fit with the rest of it. But it's the Yotsuba Fusen!
Heck yes. I love that. How did you like Rikka's new attack?
It was good.
Okay.
It was fine. Like, Alice's was cool and unique compared to other PreCure attacks, and Rikka's was just like a whirlpool.
Rikka's was the wash cycle. That's how I'm going to be referring to this new attack of hers. She submerges the Disdain, I almost said the Doki Doki, in like halfway in water, and then she has like an iPad, and she can kind of like disco DJ it and spin them around and confuse them.
She can check-a-racka.
Yeah, check-a-racka. Ha!
Oh man. I haven't had the chance to say this organically, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Alice's new attack, really, Doki's my Doki.
Heck yeah. Absolutely. I support you.
This was last week. This wasn't in this episode. Never mind. There was a scene where Ira showed up with the blood ring, and they were like, and she was like, stop being mean. And he was like, you're not the boss of me. And that was great. But that was last week. They did have another interaction with him being the villain of the Eye episode.
Yes.
And her trying to protect Ai. This episode was weird because we didn't ultimately come to any conclusion as to why Ai was upset. She just was. And, like, even if it had been a throwaway, like, she's teething, you know? I would have been fine with that. They still could have had the episode go exactly the way that it did. There would have just been a reason.
Yes. I like this episode in some parts. I thought it was interesting that they suddenly are just like focusing on like motherhood, but you know, we've commented on this before. Several PreCure seasons seem tailor-made to try to interest young girls in growing up to be mothers, and Japan has a population problem. It's the reverse pyramid. There's more older folks than there are younger folks, and so I get it. But at the same time, we're in the middle of, like, we've got to save the princess. We don't know where Regina is. We fought a dragon that one time. So having an episode that's just randomly about I as a baby and these girls are the moms of that baby seemed a little odd. So there were parts of it that I didn't like. There were parts of it that I did like. I liked hearing the stories of Mana and Rikka as, like, literal babies. On this podcast, we refer to, like, young children, like, anywhere between 4 and 10 as babies. But, like, literally when they were toddlers and babies. Mana's problem was that she was always running and her mom could never catch up, and Rikka apparently just burst into tears like all the time. So that was pretty good.
Speaking of Mana and Rikka as babies, I don't know what you were like as a baby. Do you know? Has your mom told you?
I don't.
Okay, but when I was little, like old enough to toddle around like Mana and Rikka in this episode, I would just go like leave and find strangers and then crawl up in their laps and just be like, hello, my name is Catherine. I am 2 years old. I like cats. Do you like cats? And I just sit there and like keep doing that. And every time my parents would have to come get me and take me back to my seat and be like, we don't talk to strangers. But mom told that story to Joel for the first time at our wedding, like when she did her mother speech, and Joel had never heard it, and he's just died for years.
Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful story. It illustrates who you are. You were podcasting as a toddler before podcasting was even really a thing.
Oh my god, I was!
Yeah, you were just interviewing people on the street, saying hello to them, telling them your story.
Hello.
Absolutely. One thing I thought was interesting, they have this baby who has little hearts in her hair in a season that's all about love, and she has partnered up with Augury to create Cure Ace, who is Love's trump card, and her name is literally Love, so I'm surprised that the girls haven't quite figured out what's going on with this baby yet. But I like the idea that when baby sad, it makes bad guy stronger, and when baby happy makes bad guy weaker. Makes me wonder if that's how they're going to beat the bad guy in the final episode. You know, I will be like, yay, and just like radiate joy that diminishes the Demon King.
Literally just the plot of Monsters, Inc.
Oh, it is, isn't it? But anyways, I like that relationship between I and the bad guys, and I like that she's like this avatar of love, and the PreCure team are learning about love with each other and all this other stuff. But at the very end of the episode, I think we get a hint as to why I was crying, and it turns out that Makoto has a new ability. She's able to summon a mirror, and through it they're able to see Princess Marie Angelica, or Angela, or whatever her name is. And that's where the episode ends. So it looks like next episode will be a Makoto-focused episode, and maybe the princess is dying, or maybe they need to do some kind of a ritual to restore her strength, and then I will stop crying.
Yeah, I guess they did kind of tell us why I was crying. So, my bad earlier.
Our brains are full of holes.
Makoto! Makoto! Also, weird that Rikka's mom, the pediatrician, couldn't give her more specific advice.
Specific advice on what to do with I. Also, we had the episode earlier where I brain parasited to become Mana's little sister, but I was unaware of how far that reached. And in this episode, Rikka is just casually mentioning I to her mom, and everyone seems to agree that these 5 young girls have adopted this baby together.
At one point, her mom is like, go to her, Rikka.
Yeah. It's 1 a.m, but when you love your baby so much, sometimes you just have to go back to the baby. You know, the bond between a mother and her daughter.
I did think the story about Rikka and her mom was really cute, where Rikka's mom was like, I would literally just walk all night carrying you, and you wouldn't stop crying, but I'd keep going. That's cute.
It was a very cute episode.
My parents used to strap me into my car seat and then put my car seat on top of the washing machine.
Yeah, it's like taking the kid around the block, but without actually having to go around the block.
Yeah, they put me to sleep every time, apparently. Repetitive motion soothes babies.
Absolutely. We have some thoughts from AU, that magical girl AU, on Twitter, and it's about the Delicious Party episode, and essentially, there wasn't enough baseball, but it was still an overall cute episode, and Takumi got friend-zoned immediately. We haven't seen him in a couple of episodes, now he's back, and it's just same story as always. I'm still somewhat divided on whether or not I want there to be any kind of development. What I don't want is for Yui to just, like, magically understand his feelings without there being some kind of communication. But I can understand either Takumi being too cool to talk about his feelings or deciding not to mention it, or him kind of confessing, and I'd like an actual answer from Yui where she seems to think about it, unlike how Momozona Love handled it in Fresh.
Yeah, Love was just kind of like, haha, are we dating? You'll never know, and then ran off.
Yeah. Someday you'll wake up and you'll be in your tuxedo, and is it because we're having a wedding? Who knows? That's between me and God.
Momozona Love would absolutely go to do the cute, we feed each other a bite of cake thing, but have misread his signals and just smush it in his face.
Smush it into his face. Eat the cupcake, or eat the slice of cake.
Yeah.
Do you remember, or did you read AU's kind of theory on Godats and Ginger and all that?
No.
Okay. So AU also mentioned that, you know, there's a popular theory that Ginger is Godats, and I think the main evidence for this is the fact that Mary has never actually said that, like, his master is dead. He just keeps saying, like, I wish I had said something to him. And then there was the episode where he was talking to his boyfriend Fennel, or husband, and said, like, hey, he might not have been such a bad guy after all. So there's more to the story, and Godats is, like, the only person whose, like, backstory we don't really know anything about. So I'm personally of the opinion that that's probably the story, but AU was more of the under the impression that maybe Godats is just a robot that was built and doesn't actually have a mystery behind their identity.
She thought it was like Fresh. I guess that would make sense with all the other robots. What if Secretariat wanted a boss, so she just built herself?
She was born knowing that she wanted to be a ninja secretary for someone, but there were just no ninja boss men who were hiring secretaries, so she invented her own. I do think it would be interesting if they had a...
That's capitalism, baby?
Yeah, maybe. I kind of don't like that idea because if there's this super hyper intelligent robot master machine, you'd think it would be able to build its own robot servants like Spiritorio, and so like that's kind of the one thing I would say against it. But hey, if it turned out to be a robot, that would explain the voice and it would explain why we've never seen a face. So I think it could fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any other thoughts from our dear friends?
Not at this time.
All right, hit me with that hot next episode title, boss.
Yes. Now, remember, this episode will not be coming out next week, so we'll discuss our theories for it, but it'll be 2 more episodes before we're actually able to cover it.
Oh yeah, I had a funny idea for this.
Farewell to Kokone. Feelings to share now.
That's why I forgot my idea. So my idea was like, what if we theorize about Doki Doki based on the Delicious Party episode title? But Kokone is not a character in Doki Doki. So, I mean, they'll think Kokone is moving and then she's not moving.
Yeah, but at the same time, isn't that interesting that we had this episode that was kind of about baseball, but was also about the grandpa, in addition to having lost 2 of his closest friends, he mentioned something about wanting to teach the Odin recipe to his grandson before he passes on, before it's too late, or while he's still physically capable of cooking really well and that sort of thing. And so now we have a second episode that are about, like, the importance of sharing your feelings now. So, like, maybe Delicious Party's actually a treatise on the condition of the human life and how fleeting it is. And you have to make the most of every moment and share those memories before it's too late.
And you should savor the smiles.
Hell yeah. And that's been your
Doot. Final thought.
outro goes here. Thanks for listening, everyone, and don't forget to always seek consent before smushing cakes in someone's face.
Yeah, you really should do that, huh? Wait! Before you end that episode, I just have to say, I keep getting my eyes caught by the PreCure shrine in our recording studio, and we have a commission I did of Cure Star and Cure Milky hugging, and God, it's so cute! Everybody should go follow at Sanji Hate Club on Twitter.
Absolutely. And you thought it was a parfait, but it was me, Amane!
Thank you all for joining us for another delicious plateful of
Cure of the What Now.
Please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Or if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment, a like, or lick that subscribe bell so you know when the new episodes are going up.
Did you just say lick it?
Well, yeah, we're baking delicious foods. It's a delicious party.
Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Pirate Ghost Host. Please don't lick me.
Can you even lick a ghost? I'm on Twitter at Kotwin_pod.
KOTWN_pod.
Absolutely. And as always, the Discord link is in the Twitter bio and also in the YouTube description.
Come join us for weekly discussions, streams, and all of the PreCure your heart can handle. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yum. Or no, I'm full!